Hello guys, welcome back. This is a nice little video that talks about how to make it easy for you guys on the router. These commands for you guys might be new or alien commands that you're typing it in. You're new to the system. So one of the things that you can do on a router, and the iOS, the Internet Network Operating System from Cisco allows you the ability to do that, is to create shortcuts for those commands. For example, if you remember, I had a command that checks the status of the interfaces. So that command was show IP interface brief, long command. Now, one of the things that it allows you the ability to do on an iOS is create what are known as shortcuts or aliases for these commands. So what you can do is, as soon as you go into your router, you can create an alias for this command. So for example, I can create an alias SIB over here, saying if anytime I type in the word SIB, you expand it into this command. So rather than remembering long commands, especially at the initial stages when you're remembering it, you can do that. Or to save yourself time, you know that for a fact you'll be doing a lot of your configure terminal. Anytime you need to configure anything, you need to type in config T to get into global config mode. So one of the things that I do to keep it simple, I say CC or CT. Just something that will get me into global config mode real quick. So you can create these shortcuts or aliases on your iOS inside your config file, and if you save it, the next time around you come in, the aliases are there. Very simple lab, but as a useful lab, it'll save you a lot of time when you're doing the configuration. So what are the main objectives over here? Aliases, some commonly used aliases, and how to configure the aliases. Those are the three main things that we'll be taking a look at over here. Short video, but it's a useful video. It'll save you a lot of time in the future. So as I explained to you guys, what are aliases? Allows you the ability to create shortcuts for long and commonly used commands. You can create aliases in the global config mode. You actually create the alias in the global config mode. They can be executed anywhere. Normally, aliases are used for your verification commands. Most of the time, when you're doing some configuration, each command is a little different. So you cannot create aliases if the commands are changing. So aliases generally you would create for static commands, commands that are just verification commands. You want to see something normally. So let's go ahead and take a look at the syntax for doing it and some of the common aliases that you create. Let's take a look at the commonly used alias commands, and then I'll show you the syntax for that as well. Some of the things that I do a lot is config T to move in from privilege exec to your global config mode. So create an alias for that. I'm used to creating my own aliases. You guys can do whatever you want. So this is your own way of customizing your thing for it, your iOS for the way you want it to be referred to for the different commands. I use CC as my alias for config T. What does CC stand for? Nothing. It's just easy to type. All right. For show run, I would do an SR. Show startup, SS. Show IP interface brief, SIB. Show IP route, we haven't done that, but this is a command that you'll typically be doing as you move into this deeper into this course. So this would be SIR. So these are shortcuts that I usually would create on my router. So I'll show you how to create these aliases now. Very simple to create, and once you create it, you save it. Then next time around, they're there available for you to type it in. So let's take a look. So the way you create the alias is you go into global config mode over here, and I'll show you the commands for that as well. Let's go to router 1. Username was admin1. Password was Cisco111. I'm in. EN, the password was CCNA123. Again, I'm in. Now go to global config, and in here I start creating the alias. The syntax for the command is alias the command, the mode that you type it in. Exec is referring to the privilege exec mode, the shortcut after that. For example, CC is my shortcut for config T, and the full version of the command. So what I'm telling it, in the exec mode, which is your privilege exec mode, if I type in the letters CC, it's a shortcut for configure terminal. So rather than typing configure terminal now in privilege exec, I'm going to use a shortcut of CC. Config terminal still works, but CC also works. All right. Similarly, as we talked about, let's do the other ones. We had SR for show run. SS for show startup. So exec show running dash config, alias exec SS show startup dash config. All right. I had another one for SIB, which is show IP interface brief, alias exec SIR for show IP route. We haven't done this command yet, but this is a very useful command that I would do. Once I'm done with all that, I would go ahead and save the config, and WR was the command for saving it. So my config is saved. So the next time around I come in, these commands will still work. So show run, for example, this is the show run command. So it's executing the show run command. Show SS is the the command for show startup. Also works. This is your startup config file. Because I've saved it, it's going to be the same. Show IP interface brief, SIB. There you go. That's the output of the show IB command, or the show IP interface brief command. SIR, the routing table, which we will talk about a lot in the next videos. This is the last video before we go into the main capability of a router, which is connectivity, routing. Those type of things are the next coming up videos. So this is the last one that we actually summarize or do all the different things prior to going into the actual functionality of the router, the core functionality of the router. SIR, show IP route. I'll explain this command as we go into the routing portion later on. And the one that you use a lot is go into your global config mode. So rather than typing in config T, I'm going to make it easy on myself, type in CC. It gives me the global config or config T mode. So aliases is a good way, easy way of creating the aliases. Now, if you want to find out what your aliases are, you can always do SR, which is show run. And if you want to find out only commands for, rather than looking the entire running config, let's say you want to find out commands that have a certain name or word inside it, you can always do SR, which is short for show run, pipe, the pipe sign, which is also known as a more sign, include, the keyword include, alias. So basically what it does, it tells the router, okay, in the running config, I only want you to include the lines that have the word alias inside it. So now it doesn't show me the entire running config, it only shows me the lines that have that particular word inside it. So SR would be shortcut for show run include alias, or you could do show run and eventually scroll down all the way and you would see the alias commands over here. But if you just wanted to see these commands, to see what your aliases are, include alias. Good. I mean, along the same lines, let's say you don't want to do this long command show run include alias. You could have done another alias for here, alias exec, and you would do an exec alias called s alias or show alias or show al sal, and that would be show run include alias, or you could do SR as well, so that would also work. So now if I do SAL, show alias, it'll show me all the aliases. Oops, OCL, mistyped it. So let's go back and override it, include alias. So that is SAL. There you go. Shows me all the different aliases. All right. That is a very simple video, useful video, because if you do this, it makes it a lot simpler for you to do these commands, especially when you're learning it up front. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, in the next set of videos that we'll do over here, we'll be taking a look at the core functionality of this course, which is routing. All right. Hope you guys enjoy the videos. Until now, let's get into the serious stuff now.